Welcome to Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living with your host, Rosalind Sedaka. Join Rosalind each week on a journey toward overcoming life's many challenges to achieve peace, empowerment, and positive transformation. It's time to relax, unwind, and transform your life with Rosalind Sedaka.
Hello, everybody. This is Amy Sherman, and I'm on WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, with the Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living show. Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you all here. I am Amy Sherman. I am the co-host of this program, and I'd like to welcome you to this program today with just me. I'm going to be talking about a topic for all the single people out there, a topic that I have found is of great interest to a lot of people who are going through some trying times because they are single. The topic for today's show is Change Your Story and You Change Your Life. I find this to be a very interesting story in that I have found that a lot of my clients are suffering from this, I'm going to call syndrome. Because what we tell ourselves is probably not the best thing in terms of moving through our single experience. So let's get started right away. What I'm going to be talking about first is some of the things that we tell ourselves about why we are single. And this is very important because the more negative, the more jaded, the more insecure you feel, the more you're going to make excuses about why you're single and why that's not going well for you. And you know that if you have all these negative excuses, you're going to find that it continues perpetuating itself. And you'll understand that you're single because, and we'll go over this in a minute, but the negative things you tell yourself are just perpetuating more of the negative experiences that you are having. The next thing I'm going to talk about is how we could get out of this, how we could stop this momentum. In other words, to get out of this comfort zone, because basically we really are comfortable making excuses for ourselves. And the last thing I want to talk about is some of the different approaches that you could take in terms of dating and relationships, some different guidelines and different steps that you could take so that you can get out of this negative flow and get into a more positive flow so that will help you change your life. So let's get started. So let's see, what are some of the things you're telling yourself about why you're single? Do you hear yourself saying, well, I'm not lovable since nobody wants to date me? Or there must be something wrong with me, otherwise I would be in a relationship. How about I make too many mistakes and that's why nobody is going out with me? Or I always pick the wrong type of guy or gal because I'm just so desperate I don't care who I date. Or what about all the good men or women are taken and so the pickings are really slim and there's nobody left out there? Many times you could also be saying, I'm just too fat, who's going to look at me? I'm too old, they all want a younger person. Too shy, I'm too quiet, nobody wants that kind of person. I'm not smart enough, I'm not rich enough, I'm not interesting enough. I've been burnt so many times that there's just nobody out there for me. And, the excuses go on and on and on. And does this sound familiar to anybody? I mean, if you think it is familiar, you have to stop and see if you are telling yourself things like this. Because if you start believing it, you will be perpetuating this kind of scenario over and over and over again. So this is the story that you got caught up in, and this is the story that is perpetuating your life and keeping you perhaps single. What can we do? How can you get yourself out of this comfort zone of making excuses? Because it is really a comfortable zone for you. Now, let me explain a little about what I mean by comfort zone. It's the area that feels most familiar to you. So when you say that, I'm not lovable, nobody wants to date me, there must be something wrong with me, you're comfortable saying those things and you really start believing it. It becomes comfortable for you to make excuses. And it becomes comfortable for you to resign yourself to certain ways that things are going to happen. Just to give you an example, I have a client, a female, she's about 36 years old, And she's on a lot of dating sites, and I say to her, well, are you going out on dates? And she says, yeah, but I really don't look forward to it because all the guys are jerks. They're idiots. They're losers. They're crazy. And she goes on and on and on with a litany of what's the problem before she even met the guy. Now, is this not an excuse for why she's not successful in a relationship? In other words, she's expecting the dates not to go well. And if that's what you're saying, and if that's how you feel, and if that's comfortable for you to be saying to people when they ask you, how come you're still single, and you're saying, oh, because all the guys are jerks that I go out with, then you are in trouble. You're not going to be able to get out of that momentum. And it's important for you to realize this. So you're basically getting complacent. And I'm sure you're getting tired of, experiencing the same thing over and over again, because if you don't look forward to going out on a date, that means that you're going to be on the date pretty boring, perhaps. So you really have to change your comfort zone. You got to break this cycle because apparently it hasn't worked for you. So ask yourself, what would you be doing right now if you could do whatever you wanted to do? And that's basically how you have to approach a date. You're going to meet an exciting person, somebody that's new, somebody that will be different, somebody that will give you that excitement and butterflies in your stomach so that you really, enjoy the date and are looking forward to it, because all you need is one guy or gal. You don't need 10 people to flip your switch. You just need one special person that makes you feel really special. So what I ask you to do is to ditch whatever it is you're doing and redefine what you're looking for in a love partner and examine what's really important to you in the relationship. Basically, think about turning on your dating compass, and that's like your intuition, and trust it and go with it and flow with it and see if that doesn't make a difference in your dating experience. I'm hoping that every date you go on is exciting for you. I'm hoping that you're not feeling jaded and disillusioned and negative and maybe even insecure. I'm hoping that you get excited about a new prospect, because they really are new prospects. And once you get that momentum going, you're going to start feeling better, and it's really going to change your life. Remember, the topic for today is to change your story, because that changes your life. So wouldn't it feel better to say, this is going to be an exciting date, this could be the one, this guy could be, or this gal could really be it, and I'm going to give them the opportunity to show me who they really are. So I'm hoping that this makes some sense to you. When we come back from break, I'm going to talk about some of the steps that you could take to make your approach to dating and relationships a little more exciting. So we'll be back in a minute.
You're listening to WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, Singles Talk Radio Channel, where we take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of relationship loss, divorce, parenting, being single, relationships building, dating, and yes, sex. Join our listeners and begin living your best life.
And this is WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, and I'm Amy Sherman doing the Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living show. We are back talking about changing your story so that you change your life. And this is specific to singles who are finding that they're in a funk, that they're a little too negative, a little too jaded, maybe a little too insecure, and are making lots of excuses as to why they are still single. So right now we're going to talk about 3 steps that you could take to kind of change your approach to dating and relationships. So basically what we want to do is review what didn't work in your past relationships. Look over what your experience was. Was there a poor communication between you and your partner? Was he or she too controlling and that's why it didn't work out? Was there a lot of fighting and arguments, holding grudges, resentments and things like that? Or was it based purely on the physical, where, the sex was great, but everything else was, not so good? Perhaps also the relationship, one partner was not ready to commit, and that's what messed up the relationship. When you review your past relationships, I want you also to evaluate your part in making it fail. So in other words, if the communication was poor, was it communication on his or her part, or was it communication on your part? Also, in other words, did you not want to speak and share and talk and divulge certain things about yourself? If the relationship was more physical and not enough emotional, did you have anything to do with that? Were you the kind of person who was not getting caught up in the emotional side of the relationship? So, someone once told me that sex makes you stupid because it keeps you from noticing that your partner does not possess those qualities or values you hold dear. Keep in mind that, when you get involved with the physical part of a relationship, you are not allowing that emotional side to take hold as firmly as it needs to be in order to make a relationship really strong. So a suggestion is review what didn't work in your past relationships. And when you do that, you could go into your new relationship by doing the second thing, and that is doing it differently. So if you find that your communication was not really that great, then maybe it's your part to really get your partner to talk and share and have those quiet times where you're really revealing to each other what you want to know about the other person and what's really going on in your life. So you have to do it differently. You don't want to do the same thing over and over and over again that you experienced in your past relationship because obviously it just didn't work. If you found a partner who was too controlling and that's why the relationship didn't work, then this time when you're in a relationship, if somebody is too controlling, that's not a relationship that's going to be something you want. Get rid of it and move on. It needs to be based on the relationship that is healthy needs to be based on what is important to you. And you need to be aware of what worked and what didn't work, and the things that worked, continue those and enhance on those, and the things that did not work, you have to work on improving them or get rid of it. Third thing, in terms of steps to finding a new approach to dating and relationships, is that be very, very aware of the red flags. Now, these things people overlook, as I said before about having sex and having that overshadow some of the red flags that you're just not aware of because the sex is so great. Well, really be aware of those red flags. What you don't want, don't accept. So if you don't like jealousy, if you don't like controlling personalities, if you don't like somebody who's argumentative, critical, who causes you to isolate from friends and family, of course, if they're violent physically, you certainly don't want that, easily angered, somebody who is inconsistent in their behavior, these are all red flags. And these are things that you want to be aware of because if you notice it at the very early stages of your relationship, the relationship needs to end, because it's not going to make for a healthy long-term relationship. And if you are caught up in that kind of scenario, you are definitely in the cycle of abuse, which, you may need some further counseling or coaching on that. So whatever you did before needs to be done differently this time because you're changing your story. No longer are you insecure. No longer are you feeling incapable or unlovable. No longer are you feeling that you have made so many mistakes that you're going to just keep repeating them over and over again. This time you're going to be aware of what has happened previously and you're going to do something about it. Basically, you're creating a new you because by changing your story, you are changing your life and changing who you are. What is happening is that you are learning stuff. You're making new choices that will make your future experience more successful. So maybe you need to just go on more first dates before you find, your partner. Or maybe you need to join more online dating sites so that you can get more first dates. Or maybe you need a dating coach, somebody who could guide you one-on-one and let you know what you need to do that perhaps you're not thinking you are aware of. You could invest in an online dating program, which gives tons of information. You could get involved in more community activities, doing things that you want to do and you enjoy doing because, if you are doing what you love doing and you meet somebody who's also doing something that you love doing, then right away you have something in common with that person. It's a great experience. You also, in creating the new you also want to be clear about what it is you want and need in a relationship. You don't want those red flags. You want a relationship, and you also don't want to be in a relationship so badly that you overlook or ignore those red flags. You are not desperate, so never feel that you are desperate. And, as I said, the excuses we made up previously, that you picked the wrong guy or gal just because you're so desperate and you want to be in a relationship. No longer do you want to do that. No longer is that acceptable. This is the most important thing in terms of creating the new you. How does your partner make you feel? Do you feel your best and most authentic self when you are around him or her? Do you feel calm and balanced and serene and whole and accepted when you're with this person? That is how you want to feel, and that is what you're looking for. So some of the things that you can now tell yourself in terms of why you're single. You're single because you keep looking for somebody who's going to make you feel wonderful. You're single because you want somebody who really accepts you for who you are, and you haven't found that yet. And you're single because you know you're not going to accept any of those red flags, any of those behaviors that make you feel horrible. So you're single until you find somebody who makes you feel just the opposite, really worthy and accepting and special and new and exciting. That's why you're single. So tell yourself, I am single because I haven't found the right person who makes me feel my best. And that is why you are single. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I hope this helped. And if anybody has any questions or would like to contact me, my contact information is amybethsherman@gmail.com. And also, if you are interested in my free ebook, it's called Joy, or How to Be Happy Really, 7 Keys to Finding Your Joy. You could find that on www.joyofoptimism.com, and I'll send it right off to you. So I hope this helped all my single friends, and I hope you got some good insights. I'd love to get your feedback. And again, we're at WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, and we're doing the Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living show. Hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to hearing from you all. Take care now. Bye.